Should you pull for Miyabi? It's not a question, it's an obligation. If you don't pull for Miyabi, your holy spirit of your ancestor is gonna be ashamed of you. Your parent is gonna disown you while spitting on your face. And of course, I don't believe in anything I just said, but it's the vibe that I got from this Miyabi banner for just how broken she is. She's definitely more of a must pull than Caesar back then. But as I'm looking through the comments on my videos, a lot of people in the comments section do try to ask for the opinion. Do they need to pull for Mindscape 2 or not? Because as a lot of people claim, Mindscape 2 does give a huge power levels increase. But before going for her Mindscape, you should always want to go for her signature weapon first before going for Mindscape, just like any other limited characters. But let me explain what Miyabi is like in the Mindscape 0. She is already the best unit in the entire game, and the second best DPS like Yanagi is not even close to Miyabi. She is already broken at Mindscape 0 without her signature weapon, and the only downside of Mindscape 0 Miyabi is that she could only play in disorder setting, and she's definitely lacking when you use her as a hyper carry along with other stunner like the Lycaon and the Lider when you compare her with other disorder team, because her main source of damage are coming from disorder and her anomaly. And the other reason is just for the sheer amounts of crit rate that you have to build for her to optimize her passive has taken too many substat away from her disc, unless you want to put one of those attacker crit rate W engine onto Miyabi to make her perform moderately in the hyper carry team comp. And what I want to point out is that if you're playing Miyabi in the disorder setting, you should go for 80% crit rate without accounting 12% crit rate from her 4 set. But if you're playing in hyper carry team, you do only need 68 crit rate for your hyper carry Miyabi to be optimal, because she could benefit from the 4 set buff significantly more than this disorder team comp. I think this is quite important to say, but if you're looking to getting the S rank in the Shiyu defense and the maybe like 6-star or even 9-star in the assault mode, M0 Miyabi without signature weapon is definitely enough. So no, you don't even need to pull for her weapon for Miyabi to perform. But does her signature weapon worth it? Yes, because it gives massive amounts of crit rate and crit damage, and with 40% ice damage on top of that, the power levels is so good. It makes you feel like you're stupid for not pulling for it, and you could expect about 17% of power levels increase, which is massive. And I think this is where MiHoYo is actually getting smart about when they designed W engine and the Mindscape. And just to give you a quick statistic about the average amounts of pull to get the stuff that you want, like for weapon you need 63, and for per characters you need about 94. And again, it is not needed in Miyabi disorder team comp, but it's definitely a must if you want to play hyper carry Miyabi along with other stunner. And that amount of crit value would enable Miyabi to be a hyper carry along with other stunner teammate, because her charge attack would become as relevant as her anomaly and disorder. And for her Mindscape 1, it is definitely not worth it to stop at Mindscape 1. You only want to go for her Mindscape 1 when you want her Mindscape 2, which give her about 36% power levels increase, and basically turn Miyabi into a hyper carry more than a disorder unit. But also with her Mindscape 0 disorder capability, you're basically playing 2 attackers in 1 characters. But again, it is not needed, but you still want to prioritize her signature W engine first before her Mindscape, or how her Mindscape 2 is synergized with her signature weapon. And in my opinion, it's probably not worth it to go for Mindscape 2, because a random limited support in the future would probably give her more power levels increase than getting her Mindscape 1. And with the resources you could get from the Mindscape 2, you could get yourself for more characters to have fun with more teams. And for anyone who are new to the gacha game, any replica in game like this are not needed. It really is the strategy that the gaming company want to incentivize you to make you swipe your credit card more. But if you're planning planning to get Mindscape to Miyabi, you definitely want to do it for the love that you have for the characters. And I respect that, but just make sure that you're doing it without causing the financial burden. And definitely don't pull for the power level, or even worse, because of other people on the internet indoctrinated you into doing so. You only want to pull for the replica for the joys of it. And this is coming from a long-time gacha game player. Myself, I've seen a lot of people regret about their pulls for countless amounts of time. And the main reason is because they were pulling it into belief that these characters is gonna be powerful for a long period of time. But eventually most of them are going to be power creeped. But you're not losing anything if you like the characters. The second most frequently asked question, does this particular unit works with Miyabi? Even though I tried to cover as much team as I could think of on my last video, and there were some team that just fly under my radar, and I'm gonna go over it one by one. So let's go with the Jane though. She would definitely works well with the Miyabi as long as you're pairing her with another support like Lucy, Rina, Sokaku. I would highly recommend you to pair the Sokaku because for the sheer amounts of the ice damage that she gives, and the other unit is Lucy because Lucy's passive is totally garbage, which is exactly why Lucy is broken, because she could be function optimally without any team restriction. Rina is also a good one. I don't know much about Nicole, but she also seems to be viable. So yes, you could pair Jane Doe with Miyabi, but you gotta pair her with support. And can I play Grace along with Miyabi? Unfortunately, Grace's team is a little bit more restrictive. You can only pair her with Rina and Harumasa to make sure that Miyabi's team passive is on, because her team passive is massive. The other most frequently asked characters is Lycaon. I do think that as long as you are playing Miyabi Lycaon with another support, it would works, just like Jane Doe. But you really do need signature weapon for this team to work because of the nature of the hyper carry. And as long as you're proxying Miyabi's passive and other members' passive, except Lucy and Rina, it's definitely good enough to get an S rank in Shiyu defense or majority of the content. Even the Nicole Anby team would work with Miyabi just fine, but you wouldn't expect these team would be as optimal as the Yanagi Caesar team. And you definitely don't want to get the validation from any content creators, even myself, to play whatever team you want. And the easiest way to test it out is really just get into the critical node, time yourself, and look at the result. And I think this is why it's important to watch multiple content creators, because they could have missed one thing while another doesn't. So you can get yourself a bigger picture in terms of understanding the game. So we as a content creator, we are here to really just provide you the information and the opinions about the game, but you should be the one who decide how to enjoy the game. And Happy New Year's, guys! I hope you guys has a great upcoming years. See ya, guys!